using this time to talk about something that's been really hard on me lately. I don't know where else to go because nobody's there to talk to me. Nobody understands. It's about my family. And I miss the connection I thought we used to have. And I should just realize that I'm never gonna get that ever, I know too much has happened in our relationship, and I know my mom loves me. I can't even think about her leaving me. She's all I got. When she's gone, I won't have anybody left. My dad, he was a really wonderful guy, but when I was little, I was suicidal a lot because of my brother's death, and it really affected me very strong. And it's when I started being suicidal. And I still remember the night that I started. I remember the night I went down that path, and it was one of the scariest nights of my life since my abuse. I saw bugs and I hallucinated. I took so much pills that I almost could have died. My temperature was up to 105 point something, and my mom freaked out, and I had to go to the hospital, my doctor's office, and then I had to go to the emergency room and get my stomach pumped. It was the first time that I realized that you could take your own life, and I was scared. I remember I prayed to God. I was so scared I was going to die and go to hell, because that's what they preach in the Bible, that if you commit suicidal acts that you'll go to hell. And I didn't want to go to hell when I was a kid. So when I was about to pass out, I remember I was on the ground and I had thrown up. I threw up some of the pills, and I was like, God, please, I'm sorry I took all that medicine. I took so much I was barely able to walk. I was stumbling at first. I could barely even stand. And that was before the hallucinations. It was scary. I heard the door open and shut so many times. I was so freaking out. I was waking myself out. I didn't know what was going on, why people were slamming the doors. And it made me scared. And I was like, I'm just going to go tell Mom and Dad, or I'm going to go figure out what the noise was. And then I forgot that's why I was wanting to go down there in the first place. But I saw bugs. I saw odd things, people that were awake that wouldn't normally be awake at up 10 hours in the morning and doing things they never would have done. I went outside and I saw odd little things, a snake and other stuff, bugs on the walls and webbing, sounding like bees. It was very scary in that moment. So I don't like bees and I don't like spiders, so the webbings was on the bugs. It was really scary. I think I've talked about it in one of my videos, probably in a different channel. But It wasn't the first time I tried to kill myself. I've did it so many times. And sometimes I really want to, Other times I do it because I want to escape that moment. And I'm really hurting. I don't know what else to do. And especially when I feel disconnected from my family. Watching the video, they had pictures at the ceremony, and everybody had their little kid pictures, and it was so cute. But me and Johnny didn't come till I was like 4.5. So this reminds me I'm not really his daughter. And they're not really my family, I know. Sometimes when you're adopted, you feel so alone. People don't know that feeling. You're so lucky. You have no one to compare yourself to. You can't look back and say, oh, they were so cute at that moment, I'm already so old when I do my first picture. And my dad never helped me when I was a baby. People don't know that pain. Being adopted is not always fun. It's not everything that's great, Nobody understands what the other side's like. And how not every adopted child's got it great. Sometimes you have family that don't really need you. They already had their own family. And I was never part of it. And that's why they don't care to fight for me. Like they did their own. They could care less about what I do. What I say, they get mad when they can, but they don't care. I think Isaac's family sometimes cares more for me than my own. I wanted my family to care. The ones I grew up with. John already's gone and he's all I had. And I stayed alive for my mom. I don't know how much more I can take. It's a real bad pain. It's a real bad pain in your heart. When you lose somebody that important. And people don't think they ever mattered, but they did. They mattered so much. And you always tried to get their approval. Nothing you did seemed to matter. You couldn't measure up to their own. No matter how much you did for everybody. It was never enough. And some people will never know that. The pain. They just say I'm just emotional. Which is true, I am. All my life I tried to please them. All my life I tried to be good for them. They never seemed to care. The only ones that did was my mom. She's the only one that even thought it was anything great. A little child should not be so adamant to be in the family that they will clean the house top to bottom and not even play with their toys. That's how much I wanted them to love me. I didn't even care about myself. Especially when I first came to be with them. I cared for them more than myself, and I always have. Their opinions and what they say and do matter so much to me. And it affects me in such a strong way. I thought this was going to be that pivotal time where they actually cared finally. And that I got somewhat recognized. I don't know, sometimes I don't feel like it was anything but just a moment. It was nice, but I still know that I wasn't theirs. I'm not really theirs. And so much stuff happens in life. And you realize who really matter. And, you'd be willing to give up your dreams and other things if they just loved you. But they don't. Maybe in their small ways they do. It just never feels real. It just feels so fake. Like we're there and it happened. And it's done, and then you just go back to everything's the way it is. You don't learn, none of that really matters, at the end of the day. It's just another day. That's how I think. Sometimes people think of things. It's just another day. And you're just you, and you just go on. With some people, they get left in that moment, and it's hard to move on. And people tell you it's okay, you can. And don't think like that. And you don't hear what they say because you're hurting too bad. And you just want to go.
Man, you really do need to be there when your mom does die, honey. It would do you some good too.
Not really.
Yeah, but it would be the right thing to do, honey.
I can't do any more funerals, everybody. He doesn't understand. I barely made it through my dad's.
You're all good, honey.
I don't really want to go to any more funerals. I don't think I could manage anymore. And especially not my mom. Especially not her. I could never see her in the ground. And nobody will understand that. Nobody could understand it. Because it'll bring me back to Johnny. And he was the first. And I was only 13. And I just gone through a whole year where I was so badly treated. Dad was the only one of my whole family that ever stood up for me. He was the only one who cared that I was being bullied. His sister was getting bullied a lot. And he left me. He left me. And that changed everything. It changed everything about my whole world. I was alone. Oh, I was alone with my family. It was just me. And I didn't have any blood. None of them were my real family. They weren't my blood family. I always loved them. I know it inside. They're still mine. But it's just not the same. It never will be. And I don't expect anyone to understand me, because very few people have that situation. They don't know what it's like. Or they're adopted and their life is much better. Maybe they're the only ones that were adopted, or there's only one other adopted person. It's totally different feeling when you're the only one, you know. You get to still be your parents' whole world. Or if they only have one other child, maybe, then, you know, they're gonna care more for you. If you have like a lot of family already, you know, they don't have to care about the last little few. They don't have to care about the last two little pathetic people that come in their life. That meant nothing. It was me and Johnny. We were just those extra little few. It didn't matter in the end. None of them admit anything. They don't care what they've done. They don't care how we've all hurt each other. So it just stays that way. When you have family that don't want to ever acknowledge things, they don't bring up anything. It's as if, you know, unless there's some big event that happens, I'm just there. Guess they see my online stuff, that's about it. Lord knows if they even look at it.
They do.
You know, they might not even care enough to look at anything I do. Not care about my life or what happens to me, unless it affects them or our family as a whole. No encouraging for me, you know. I had some extended family that actually asked about some of my stuff, and they were happy for me. So that was something. My Aunt Peggy, she's so wonderful to me. Almost makes up for my lack of immediate family, you know. And I love her so much. She was always my favorite aunt. She's always so bubbly, you know. And she always has a smile on her face. I mean, I guess I have people like that. It's just, why can't my core family, the ones that I grew up with, why can't they be that way? You know, they should have more emotional feelings toward me. I grew up as their sister and their daughter. I grew up with them. They were all I knew. And me and Johnny, I hadn't been to like a funeral that really impacted me in a long time. Since my brother, that really like affected me. I mean, there's ones that you go to, and you might know the person just a little bit, but you don't really know them. And then there's those that you really felt connected to. And that was my dad. I always wanted to be his daughter more than anything in the world. I always felt like I was on the outside trying to get into my own family. I was like watching it, and they would be living their life and enjoying each other, and I would just be there. Unless I was in the middle of something and getting some kind of punishment or disciplinary. My mom did good at loving us. She really tried. And she always gave us hugs a lot. And she's just getting to that age where I know she's about to give up. I worry for her. I just don't know if I could watch my mother go to the earth. It hurts me to even think about it. That's my mom. And that's the only other person in this world that matters that much to me. Like my brother did. My mom and my brother were everything. Everything in the world. If I didn't have them, I was gonna run away. Far away. But I stayed through a lot of bad moments. And I took it. And there was a lot of times that I felt so dead inside. So dead. And I'd go to my music, because that's what I did. I'd go somewhere else in my mind. Because I couldn't be there. And that's how I got through it. I wrote a lot. Fantasized a lot. And I made it through. Moments where you just wish you were dead. You have a fight or an argument. The person says something that tears into your soul. It makes you feel like you're not even in existence. That's what my family could do to me. That's what they could. That's what it felt like. And I'd have other people in my life that hurt me bad. They don't even care either. Most people in my life really don't care. They're not always there, So you realize that you are alone. And everyone could be gone in 2 seconds. And you'd have to be by yourself. And abandonment was the worst thing in the world to me. That was my worst fear, is that I would be all by myself and nobody would care. And lo and behold, that happened. I was in plenty of situations where I was all by myself and nobody cared. So, sometimes they tell you all of your fears are just in your head. That's not gonna happen. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but that's not true. The mind does not always play tricks. Sometimes some people's lives is that fucking fucked up. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat all the time. There are times when, yeah, things are good. We have to be real with each other. I'm sick of everybody being so fake in this world, saying love always wins. You'll be better. Life will go on. Yeah, that's true. But I don't think the person in that moment is thinking that in their head. I think they really are hurting and it's real. And people's words only seem to deflect from what you're experiencing. Like, it could get better. There's always worse people out there. That's not going to do anything for that person in that moment when they are really hurting and it's real. Maybe sometimes it's true that, you just have to feel those things and hurt. God knows I have a lot of times. I've hurt so deeply to my core. And people can tell me that I'm emotional all they want. I don't care. They didn't live my life. They don't understand through my experience. And if they are, then they're not going to be saying those things. They're going to understand. Since day one, I came into this world. I already had problems medically. And I was sent with a mother who really didn't know how to care or be a mom. I 100% blame it on her. So don't think I'm trying to hate on my mom. I'm not. In fact, I actually loved my mom even when she would let me be with these nasty males and wouldn't come get me even when I tried to call her on the phone and tell her to come pick me up. She still let me stay being abused and beat and strangled. I still loved my mom, and I knew that she had her own issues. I was that smart as a little girl. I put even her needs above my own. I didn't take it out on her. So I looked up to her. I loved all people. I always have. I always feel for the person that's on the down, for the downcasted person, because I know what it's like to have people hate you or shun you because of who you are or what they think you represent or how bad you make the family look. I know what that feels like, to be the black sheep who everybody hates in every aspect of your life. All they want is nudie pictures of you. All they want is for you to just do whatever for them and their needs. They don't care about you as a person. They don't even know who you are. When you start being upset or emotional, they disappear. Those type, I understand what they want from me right away. Because I've had that so many times in my life since I was a kid. Always the men who wanted me to please them. Didn't care that I was scared. And my family thought I was going to do that to their family. Like I was this whore, that was sent on doing things like that to people because that's what I was taught. Like I love doing that to people. I didn't love it. I did it because I was told to, and I was a child, a little kid, little toddler. You shouldn't even have to do shit like that. So all my life, that's the only kind of love I really know. And I always feel like that's what all men want from me. Just like my mom knew. She was gang raped by a group of guys and pimped out by her own husband. She knew exactly what they wanted. I don't agree with her doing it to her own daughter, but some people do that. It's a vicious circle. They do it to their own, and then it's passed on. Thankfully, it stops with me because I don't have no kids. I'll never make my kid do that shit. It's nasty as hell. I know all this probably doesn't even add up to anything in particular. Sometimes when you're hurting, all the emotions just hit you at one time, and you just start thinking of every little thing, every experience, every good and bad. They weren't all bad, by the way. If they had been, it would have been easy to just run away. That was the problem. It wasn't all bad. Never is it? It's never all black and white. It's multicolored. There's goods and there's bads, but the goods seem to like almost disguise the bads. So you don't understand. You think, why am I so upset? My family's good to me. They've done this and that. So they should be able to just be mean to me in other ways, you know? They should be able to hurt me emotionally and mentally and gaslight and make me feel like crap because they did this and that. So it counteracts it. That's the mistaken thoughts there. It's not really true. It doesn't work like that. Shouldn't be able to hurt somebody so deeply just because you've done certain things for them. Just because you came in and you supposedly saved them from this abuse. You gave them a new form of abuse. It's called mental. And it's a thing too. You know? Where people don't feel like they even belong. Sometimes I get that moment of happiness with them and I think, oh, we're connecting again. And then I forget they're my family. And I should already know what they're like. You know, I shouldn't be surprised when they go back to their way. Because that's their core. They can have those moments where they pretend like everything's all great and we're all one big happy family. And then they just go right back. And I'm back out in the cold. That's the problem with mental abuse that happens so many years like that. You get so used to it. And I know sometimes I come on here and I'm so happy in a moment. It's usually because of that, thinking about them. You know, I unblocked all of them on my stuff. So I'm trying to move on. Trying to let them be and realize that I'll never have them. I don't want to stoop to that level anymore and always keep doing that stupid mind game. Back and forth, back and forth. First we're all great together, then we're bad, then we're happy, then we're bad. I'm sick of that. All my life, I never knew if it was finally going to be taken away. I was going to be back to that miserable, depressed, lonely, dark corner. I never knew. You know, it's just like when I was raped, was beaten, and different guys. You never knew if that was the night that you were going to have to perform or if you're going to just go to sleep and it was going to be peaceful. Some nasty guy ogling you, touching you in your freaking little baby Pampers. That's what it was like. You know, for 4.5 years, that's what it was like. Going from motel to motel. Last little bit of time, I finally had a house set firm. I made some friends and I loved playing outside with them. That's maybe why I feel safest outside. Because I was with my friends. I wasn't inside with my mom and her nasty, sick men. You know. But for my mom to feel like I was going to be that way already, that really hurt me. Like I was going to be that way. because I was raised that way. And I didn't want to be that way. I wanted to be good. But all my life I was good. I was their good little girl. And look what it's done. Nothing. Unless I was perfect Lisa and never got any care. And they told me, it doesn't matter if you're perfect or not, we still love you. No, they don't. No, they don't. This proves it. My own niece looks down on me. She thinks I'm disgusting because of the stuff I put up. My uncle's disgusted at me. All of them are. But you know, the truth was they never were happy with me before. They never saw me as anything but a deadbeat. There's always something they could mock me for. My uncle would always get on my case about where I was working. What am I doing now? What kind of scam am I on now? He was a real asshole. I didn't even acknowledge him at the funeral either. And I blocked him on my Twitter because he never cared about me. Never did. And I won't ever believe my family ever really loved me, not like a real family does. They kick you out. They don't even let you be on their stuff. They don't say anything complimentary. They still don't. They still don't. It's just my mom. So saying that I'm supposed to just go to see her put in the grave when everyone else is alive. You know, that hurts me to even think about it. Because she's the only one that ever even remotely cared. I can't watch that. I think I would die. I think I would finally die. When that day happens, I will commit suicide for real. And I will go be with everybody. I'll go to that funeral and then I'll kill myself. And I'll go be with my mom. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Because when my mom dies, I'm going to be dead.
No, you won't.
She's all I have.
You ain't committing suicide.
And I do know how to kill myself.
No, you won't. Don't let it.
And there's more ways than just pills. I realize that now. You'd be surprised what you can find if you really want it. Anything's on the internet nowadays. My dad can't spit in my grave. And nobody can do anything to me, you know. At that moment, nobody will be able to. They won't even realize it's going to happen or when. I wouldn't be able to live without my mom. She's really all I have. I don't have any other family that really gives a shit about me. I know people say you can make it without family, but no, not me. Not me. I can't. As long as I can remember, family was always everything to me. They were what made me happiest. Even in those bad moments, it was better than having nothing at all. That's why I was okay going through all that crap. I would rather have that than be totally alone somewhere in a homeless shelter. Yeah, by myself. Which I did. I went to Holland and I was in their shelters all by myself, literally. Nobody there. Nobody to give me a hug at night. I was alone. And I realized that. And I said I'd rather be in a fake sort of, I'd rather be in a fake relationship with family than all by myself. And so I did whatever I could to not cause too much trouble. I became that doormat again that I normally was. I put my veil on and I just went through the motions. I'd rather had that than nothing. In the end of the day, I guess that's all that matters. you at least feel somewhat like you're in a little group of people. You're not completely by yourself or at the mercy of some drug addicts around you, whoever you went from place to place, you know. It was better because I knew them. Sadly, the only one in my whole adopted family that even acknowledges any of the pain I've gone through is one of my adopted brothers. He's the only one that even acknowledged it. Sadly, he had to be drinking, but I'd rather take that and him being a little intoxicated while he's saying it than have everybody not even acknowledge, totally have, like, they're that obtuse to the fact that any of it happened. They don't want to even talk about it. Like, they don't say anything if it's not something that they want to hear. They won't even start the healing process with me, you know. They won't even acknowledge that stuff. It's like they can't acknowledge anything, you know. I think that's why it's the hardest for me. Sorry. That's why it hurt. And I know I need therapy again. I know I probably should get help. I feel like I've been in and out of therapy all my life. I still don't feel whole. You know, can't tell you how many times I've sat in the little therapist's couch and did my little talk. I got so used to saying my story that it just became second nature. I could talk about it like it hadn't even happened to me. I dissociated from it. And I would sit there. My dad would bring me all the way down to the therapy session, and I'd sit and I'd chit chat. And she'd just sit there and listen to me blab and blab about my life story. And pretty soon, therapy would be over and I would have no more sessions, and then I'd have to go to a new therapist, and I'd start it over. That's how my medical coverage worked, I guess. They gave you so many with each different therapist, so I'd always get to certain moments, and then I'd go on to the next one. And they were about to break through a couple times. I was to that point where it sounded so, like, made up and static, you know. I think that's why sometimes they didn't believe me. I could just talk about it. It didn't feel like it had happened. It felt like a story. And you sit in there and you just tell a story to somebody, and you don't really connect with it at the moment. You just kind of like there, and they're there, and you just say what you say, and you move on. I was evaluated too. I was given a full evaluation at one point, and back then they said I had borderline. They said I had borderline personality disorder. When I got reevaluated later, and I went to a mental institute, I was inpatient. They said I had bipolar 3, I think, and with depression, and of course my suicidal tendencies. But I mean, that's what they told me. I don't know, I think I have some kind of dissociative identity disorder. Maybe not that specifically, but one of the little side disorders with dissociation is a lot of times I don't feel real. There's times when I have to check myself, so I really don't feel real. And I've had moments where I ask myself, am I really here? And I don't know, you know. Back then I think sometimes I would just do something spontaneous and exciting, just so I could feel like I'm alive. And I would get myself in these situations. And at the moment, I would be like, yeah, this is really living. I'm really living. I'm really like doing something crazy. And this is going to be so freaking thrilling. And I would think that in my head at the moment. I think that's one of those times when I went to Chicago on the spur of the moment. I just went and I just took off. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to have this adventure. And then later on, I realized that it wasn't a fun thing. But in that moment, when you're about to do it, when you're going to play lottery, you're like excited. And it's like, it takes you out of your own head for a minute. When we go on car drives, I let myself just go somewhere else, anywhere else. I'd do that when I used to bike ride all over. I'd just bike wherever. And it was fun. And I'd be able to go someplace and be somewhere else. Sometimes I'd do that. I'd just take off. And I wouldn't even know where I was going on my bike. I'd be like, Dad, I'm going on a bike ride. I'd be like, okay, just make sure you're back. I'd be like, okay. And I'd just ride my bike wherever, you know. And I think he liked that I was outside and getting fresh air. One time I didn't know that, I didn't understand country roads don't have those little, you know, blocks and stuff like cities do. They're way different and they can curve and go around, and I got myself so lost. And I was so scared. I didn't know what to do. I just kept riding because I thought eventually I'd get back around. And I was on a whole nother area. I was in the other whole side of the lake by the time I realized where I was. It had been raining and it was done like really bad downpouring of rain. So I was getting drenched and I was scared. Cars would go by and they wouldn't even care that a teen kid was out in that nasty weather. And one point I went into some person's house. I knocked on the door and I was like, I don't know where I live. And she came and let me use the phone. And I was so scared. I called my house and I was like, you know, I got the message machine. My dad, I think, was out gardening. And I said, you know, I was like, what's going on? I don't know why I'm not going back to my house. And she was kind of worried for me. I didn't think about trying to get her to just have my dad come over and get me. We could have waited and stuff, but I was so emotional because when I don't know when I get that way and I don't know what's going on, I get scared and I don't think about every little thing. And I just kept riding around. Eventually I came to the other side, I guess, of Backtrick Lake, and I saw this place of these people with a truck, and I asked them, well, you know, where's my place? And they asked me where I lived, and I told them my address, and they said, wow, you're a ways away. And I was like so shocked. I was so far away. It was like way late. It's been hours, and I was supposed to go to youth group that night. I was drenched and cold and wet, and, you know, about to catch a cold or something. As long as I was outside, and the people were like, well, put your bike in our truck and we'll give you a ride over there. So they knew where it was. And I was like, okay, thank you. And I got in, and, you know, there was at least a female there, so I felt somewhat okay. My mom was home already, and they were about to call 911 because I hadn't come home yet. And I got chewed out. They were like, Lisa, where were you? We were worried. And I was like, well, I just wanted to go for a bike ride. I didn't know it didn't come back around. and they were kind of worried. And they were also upset that I accepted a ride from somebody I didn't know, from a stranger. I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't know where to go. And, I was used to talking to strangers. They were at one point strangers to me. So, that whole concept when you're adopted is kind of flawed. Everybody in your life is a stranger at first, especially when you're adopted. You don't know those people. So you become accustomed to being okay with people that are strangers more than regular people. Because to us, everybody in our life at one point was a stranger. If you think about it, and the more you're in the foster system, the more you're going to feel that way, because you go in and out of foster families. They're all strangers. You don't know them. So you can't tell a child don't talk to strangers when everybody is one. Your actual mom and dad, whoever you were born from, are gone. The person that had you in the womb for 9 months, she's not in your life anymore, and she's the only one who wasn't a stranger at any given time. And she's not there. So everybody else is people you didn't know. So that's why, if you say that to most adopted children, especially that are still in the system, they're probably gonna, they might be okay with the concept, but they're not gonna understand it as well as somebody that has their own kids and they've never been with people that were strangers, except with their parents. That's kind of how I think about that. Because I could go up to complete strangers and be like best buddies in 2 seconds. It's how I got when I was little. I was taught to do that, to be okay just approaching people and getting things. As was my life when I was really little. That's what developed my personality. So I always had that need in me to be that way with people. That kind of became my core. Is why my mom always was worried with me around people, because she was worried that I would do it to the wrong men. Which she has a right for that. I do agree. I don't think it was a good lesson for me to learn. I think it will always be a part of